My name is Nicholas Teresi, Nicholas, last name Teresi. I will be conducting the interview with Salvador Enrique Villalobos. First name Salvador, middle name Enrique Enrique. Last name Villalobos, Villalobos, for UWM field study of the homeowners near the Washington Park area. I would like to begin this interview by asking first, did you receive your consent form?
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Do you agree with the consent form and interview?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So, first, what is your date of birth?
July 16, 1983.
And were you born here in Milwaukee?
No, I was born in Mexico, in Jerez, Zacatecas. It's center of Mexico.
Okay. So you migrated?
Yeah, I migrated here on, I want to say maybe in 1990, 91, 92, around there.
Okay.
I was in 5th grade, or no, I would say third grade.
And where did you migrate to?
Here in Milwaukee.
Straight
here. So since then, I always lived here in Milwaukee.
Did you migrate with any other family members other than your parents?
My brothers, just my family. My dad was already here, so me, my brothers, and my mom were the ones that just came by ourselves, and my dad was already living here. He has been living here since I want to say maybe like the 70s. He will come back and go, and like early 90s, he decided to bring us over here.
And you have two brothers?
3 brothers. I have 3 brothers and a half sister.
And are you the eldest?
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
Okay. So did you have any special responsibility because since you're the eldest and you lived in Mexico along with your mother?
Well, I was the oldest, but I was still young, so I didn't really have that much responsibilities. My responsibilities was go to school, and try to do good, and that's about it. My responsibility started when I came over here, and and of course, living with my dad, just it had it was more responsibilities.
Like typical chores?
Yeah, like typical chores, to look at your brothers and stuff like that.
Okay. And so you're Mexican descent now.
Yeah.
And what would you say was the hardest part of your migrating from Mexico and coming here? Was it the language barrier or?
Well, it was pretty much everything, but I want to say just the environment. The language, you could say it was a main one, but I mean where we went, there was already Mexican people there, so I would speak Spanish. But it was more the environment. I wasn't used to all this. Like just being, and then we came in the middle of winter, so we basically just we stuck at home. When in Mexico over there, I was like, I could go not anywhere, but I would be outside playing with my friends, my cousins, And then here, like, for, like, more than 3 months, straight, just from school to the house and from the house to school. So it was, like, for me, I don't know, like, I didn't like it at all. I would cry that I wanted to go back. And it was kind of hard.
So was it hard to make friends, or was it more the weather change?
Yeah, and that too. Like for me, I got picked on, because I came from Mexico, straight from Mexico. I didn't know what was cool, the typical, like that. So I would get picked on, But I don't know. I guess with time, everything changed. I got the hang of things and stuff. But it was real hard. I mean, being the oldest, like. Like I'm the one that had to go through like more stuff. My brothers were still young, so they were at home, and little by little, going to kindergarten or going to 3rd grade right away is totally different, But I got used to it,
You started at middle school here, right?
No, I started in at that time it was I think I was in 4th grade, so it was still elementary.
Okay. Then you transferred over to middle school. And
Yeah,
everything.
and then I had to walk to school. I used to go to 27th on Villalobos. So from here, I had to walk way over there, and it would be in winter and stuff. My dad would work. My mom didn't drive, so
Yeah. So you, when you migrated to Milwaukee, you migrated to this exact Washington Park.
yeah, yeah. We came here. The first we moved. My dad used to live in an apartment in New Berlin, but we only lived there maybe like for a couple of months, and then he got that house next door. He bought it out of a friend, like a family member. It was a good family friend. He bought it and then he remodeled it and stuff, and then we been living there since then.
So you grew up right next
Yeah.
door, and then
Yeah.
purchased this house.
Yeah, and then that was the main reason why I kind of purchased this house, because at that time where they were building this house, they were building houses around here. I was looking for a house. I was ready to buy a house, for the first time, and I had already had their pre-approval. We were looking for houses, and it was hard. It was hard because something will go wrong. There was another offer or something. But and then for some reason we noticed that they had put up a sign. They were gonna build homes, and then we didn't know what was Milwaukee Habitat at that time. We didn't know what it was all about. So my wife called, and she went, and that's how everything started.
Okay.
And then like us, like being me and my family are real close, because I knew before, because I used to rent, and then I used to rent like on 31st in St. Paul, and I will always still be here all the time.
Yeah, my wife is from Mexico. She was born out there, and she said when she transferred over, the hardest part was adapting to the different cultures
Yeah.
that are here. Like, she'd never seen African Americans before. She'd never seen Caucasians before. She's like, in Mexico, all you see is Mexican.
Yeah.
Did you have that same
Yeah.
kind of like culture shock?
Yeah, I kind of did, but with me, like, since I stuck, and I went to, at that time, the school that I went to was bilingual, so I kind of stuck with the same, race, but they had Puerto Ricans there. I had never met a Puerto Rican before. I never heard somebody talk Spanish totally different than I did, so it was kind of, it is, it's like, it's kind of weird, and then it makes you realize, you learn that, all this stuff there is, because me being a kid from Mexico, I didn't really, know about other languages or other race or other cultures and then me here being surrounded by African Americans, and then there's a lot of Hmongs, and so for me it was it was shocking, like you said. Yeah.
So you went through high school and everything. Did you have? When did you meet your wife?
I met my wife. Well, we met since school. So I would say maybe like our freshman year.
In high school?
Yeah.
Okay. Which high school did you go to?
I went to Pulaski Middle School. Pulaski High School. So I went there. I met her there, and like it was just that we always off and on. And then she got pregnant, and we didn't live together until I want to say we were all done with high school by then. I don't know. I kind of realized, it just kicked in, that I had responsibilities. I had a kid, and we moved in together. Well, she moved in with us here, and since then.
So you started dating in high school. Did she get pregnant during high school or after?
Yeah, on high school when we were in high school.
How old or what grade were you?
I want to say we were like a sophomore year.
Okay, so you're about 16.
Yeah, I was 16, and she's a year older than me, so she was around like maybe 17, 18 too, like around there.
And did you have to quit school or did you finish?
I did drop out a year. I dropped out a year because I got myself a full-time job like during the summer, and then when was the new year, I didn't go. I stayed working, and I worked for a whole year, And then when I realized that I had to like I gotta finish school, at least get my the high school diploma. I went back, graduated,
You went back to Pulaski?
Yeah, I went back to Pulaski and graduated.
And got your high school diploma?
Yeah.
And did she finish or did she have to drop out?
No, she finished also. She finished high school too.
So while she was pregnant, she stayed with the studies and everything?
Yeah.
And how was that? How difficult was that to have a child in high school at 16 years old and having to live and work pretty much what lots of people do when they're in their mid-20s and 30s, developing a family? You developed it so much earlier.
Yeah, I mean it was real hard, but and again, basically everything fall out on our families, because like I told you, we didn't live together, from time. I mean, I would try to see, a kid from, but at that time we were in at really good terms, so like, but and then I just got my act together. I went and graduated, started working, and then I was just starting showing her that I actually did care, But when at that time when I was in high school, we didn't have no kind of relationship or anything. So kind of everything follow on her side of the family, and then on my part, on the side of my family.
All right. So you weren't involved in the child's life right away?
Yeah, I wasn't.
When did you begin becoming a part of the child's life? How old was the child?
He was 2 years old. He was 2. I mean, I would still see him from time to time, birthdays, holidays and stuff like that. But we didn't move in. We were actually together until I brought her to live with us, and he was around 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old.
And from that point on.
Since then, we always been together.
Okay, and you've been at that time when you say they were living with you. That's at the house next door.
Yeah, we were my parents. Yeah.
And along with all your other siblings.
Yeah, we're my other 3 brothers.
And then, as of right now, how many children do you have?
I got four in total. Yeah.
And what are their ages?
The oldest one, he just turned 17, and then the second oldest, Enrique, the one he's 11, and then my daughter Karina, she's 10, and then the youngest one, he's 1.5.
And your wife and yourself are married, right?
We actually not married.
Okay.
We not married, like, not through church or legally.
Is that something you plan on doing in the future?
I mean, yeah, we have always, especially. I mean, I always try to me as a guy try to let's just buy a house. For example, that was my excuse back then. Let's just buy a house first, and stuff like that. But now I actually see I actually do want to get married, I mean, I don't tell her specifically with those words, but yeah. I mean, in the future, hopefully soon, we're gonna get married.
Right. Yeah, I understand from my wife being Mexican and I'm Puerto Rican and Italian, but I was raised by my Puerto Rican side.
Yeah.
I understand how usually we don't do the typical order of dating, getting married, having or buying a house, having kids.
Yeah.
That's like the American order of life. We don't usually go
with
that.
It usually doesn't work
there.
there.
Have kids, then get date, and then yeah. So I completely understand. So can you describe how this house came about? Because I know earlier you were telling us how this was actually just a lot, and then you build upon that. Can you go into description?
Well, like I told you, before, for years, it was just empty lot. There was a house here, it burned down, and it was just empty lot. And then in this lot, we actually I grew up playing here, playing baseball, soccer here in this empty field. But 2 or 3, 3 years ago, the time that I was trying to look for a house, my Milwaukee Habitat had a sign here they were gonna build houses, homes. And me being so attached to my family and my kids, and we decided to get a house here. And then because Milwaukee Habitat doesn't really let you choose where you're gonna live, but they knew that I grew up here. My parents live next door, So they actually, made the decision of giving us this lot. And because before this, we were already looking for a house. I work in Mequon, so we were trying to get a house near my job, And me being so far over there, I kind of felt this, well, it's gonna be a long drive to come over here every day. I'm always here next door, and I'm always here. My kids are, they're real attached with my parents, my brothers. So, like, in a way, it was like, and then at that time, it was real hard for us, to get a house that we actually liked, or a house that didn't need that much work. And then we found out that Milwaukee Habitat was building a brand new house, real cheap in a way, and it was gonna be brand new, And on top of that, it was gonna be right next door to my parents' house. So in a way, I saw it as a blessing, that all those houses that I could have, wanted it at that time, and then I didn't get, that I was getting frustrated because I didn't get. I would have found out they were gonna build houses here. If I would have got one of them other houses, and I would have found out they were gonna build houses here, and then I could have got it, I would have kicked myself, or And so thank God it kind of worked out, I mean, and it's not, that big of a house or like real like luxurious or anything, but all my kids have their own room, we have more enough space for us, and like I told you, we live next door. And then the neighborhood, well, I did grow up here, I saw how it was when it was real bad, that was when I grew up, like I was in late 90s, early 2000s, it was real bad. But now, me knowing how it was, and then what it, becoming to, now you saw me earlier. I was walking with my kid in front of the house, I mean, sometimes you do look, watch your back or look around you, but like here in our block, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't second guess myself, walking down the block,
So, I was going to ask you that. So since you grew up here, the safety concern from when you grew up, it's improved for your, or how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the safety in this neighborhood, in this community, compared to how you grew up in this community?
Yeah. Well, I think it's totally different now than when I was growing up. When I grew up, it's not that I feel more safety. Is it like, I don't know. It's hard to explain because me growing up here, knowing, I don't know. It's like you come so familiar with stuff, Like I know, I kind of know everybody around here, everybody that or every homeowner like in the block, and I don't know. It's hard to explain because at one point it was we would just sit on the front of the porch and that's it. From time to time we could ride our bikes, but but now is, and then I don't want to say that it's just gonna be real safety. I mean, it's not that like police patrolling, like every 5 minutes. It's not that. And then I know this. I mean, there's still bad things happening around here, but for some reason here in our block, I kind of say that I do feel safe.
So you feel safe enough to maybe let your children maybe run up and down the street, or maybe ride their bikes up and down the street. But anything, if like to go around the block, you may not feel
like they know they could just go right here on back of our house, the alley, and then from right there. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain because the first thing that I would tell like some other my friends, even when I was growing up, when I told them where I lived, basically them being on the south side, they're like, oh really, you live over there? Ain't it like real bad over there? And I would tell them, well, it is bad, but now where where I live,
Right, because I'm from Milwaukee too. I was born and raised here. Generally, the south side of Milwaukee is mostly Hispanics, and the north side is mostly African Americans. So Milwaukee is like one of the biggest segregated cities.
Yeah.
So with you being Hispanic and living on the other side of that border, kind of.
Yeah, and it feels that way. We're like, and it feels that way, like and then for some reason, there's like a bridge that dividing the south side and the north side. It's like you said, it is real segregated. but that's why I didn't. I mean, I thought about it. We were like, all right, do we really want to live here? And then, yeah, like I told you, we took it as a blessing. They were gonna live right next door. If it would have been maybe 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away, I would have thought about it harder, and I, probably won't go with it. But because he was right here,
Right next to your
yeah.
parents. So you guys pretty much look out for each other's
Yeah.
property and look out. If your children are outside playing, you know that your parents may be looking out.
Yeah.
Just checking outside the window.
Yeah, and then it's like that with all our neighbors, the homeowners that we know, they all know us, you know them, we see something odd, we will call each other or something like that,
Okay. So like this block, they kind
Yeah.
of generally look out for each other.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you were growing up in this community, in this area, when you first moved here, did you feel discriminated because you were living on this side of Milwaukee?
I felt them more kind of left out than anything else, because the only friends that I had were my younger brothers, and they couldn't do the same thing that I wanted to do at that time, and then the other kids are my age around here, they were African American, and they saw me as like an outsider, I couldn't really hang around with them because and then there were a lot of Asians too, and like on this on this side of the houses, and I couldn't hang around with them either. And then all of my friends that were Mexican, they were on the other side of of the bridge, the other side on the south side. So I was just stuck here, And then more than once I told my dad, "Hey, how come we always here? How come we don't move? But now in a way, I think I like it here. I think my dad wouldn't move. I like this neighborhood. I like the people now. And then it's like now I know, like all the people, those kids that that I hang around with now is older. Now I know them. And I get to experience their side. Like African Americans and the Asian ones. So now it's like we know better. We know each other better. But growing up, it was kind of tough,
So you said at points you wanted to go back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Was it mainly because of that? Mainly because you felt like an outsider where you lived in this community?
Yeah, because I felt it like an outsider, and on top of that, it was like I don't know. It felt like I wasn't free here for some reason. Here like I don't know. You always gotta be at home watching TV or something. You can't. In Mexico, I was used to be outside. Running around and stuff. Not getting in trouble, but playing out. I actually doing physical activities. Going somewhere. Going to like outside of the river or something. And then where I'm from, it's not really like country. It's actually like a little, we say like a little town. But like on the outside of that, it's it's like you say, it will be like out in the country. And we were me and my cousins or my friends, we were hanging around. We would just ride our bikes and just we go out there, have fun.
All right. So here.
And then here, I couldn't do nothing.
Was it because your parents didn't want you to, or is it because you didn't feel comfortable enough to?
Well, on top of that, because my parents would tell me like, well, you don't know nobody, or they wouldn't feel safe me going to Washington Park or walk over there and go hang around the park. They wouldn't let me, and then I wouldn't feel safe either. At that time. Would
you feel safe to let your kids go there now?
I mean, now I feel safe me taking them, going with them, or my older son, just to keep an eye out, for them, But like I said, I mean, like I don't know, to prevent like like normal, I don't know, like accidents or stuff like that. Not to prevent like something like can I say, like for them not to be scared of like other people that they don't know or stuff like that. Because when I was growing up, I always see it like like a African American walk by, and like you feel like kind of like intimidated, And then once you knew them, you know them, you say hi, you see them from time to time, it's just the guy from down the block or something.
Right. So, so now coming back to moving in here, how you said that you had to, part of the agreement was for you to help them build this house, right?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of hours that they ask from you for volunteer work. It could be on your house, it could be one of the Milwaukee Habitat stores or another house, for example. And then yeah, like that I worked, so like I could only do like Saturdays, like all day Saturdays. If they were working here, I would definitely be here working. Like putting like simple stuff, doing drywall maybe, like when they were building, the outside, like the walls and stuff. But I mean, there was always a lot of people here. There was always, a lot of supervision and stuff. So so it was kind of cool too, see your own house, getting built and actually getting to work on it. Yeah.
How many hours did you have to put in?
I think it was, I can't really remember. I want to say maybe like 120 hours. But also your family members, they could help you up to a certain amount of hours,
So your dad could step over
Yeah,
here and put
yeah.
some
My
hours in?
wife, my brothers, they would come and work for a Saturday, and those hours, count, towards my hours.
So pretty much your entire family was also helping
Yeah,
generally build this house as well.
exactly. Yeah.
Did anybody have any like construction background?
No, not at all, not really. I mean, I had done drywall before, like nailing studs and stuff like that, but not specifically.
How did that affect your wife and kids with you having to work Monday to Friday and then coming over here on Saturdays? I'm sure you only had like Sundays to spend the day with them.
I mean, and then for me, I looked at it. It was for like our house, for my house. So it didn't really took out like it was taken away from us anything. I took it as like I want to get this over with. Try to like try to push the process a little bit faster because it did took the whole process. It is about to maybe like 9 months, 10 months, the whole process. So I was anxious to move into the house.
And did your kids when your kids? I'm sure your kids asked you even the younger ones. I'm sure the older ones understood, but maybe even the younger ones ask you like, why is dad gone? Did you explain to them?
I mean, yeah, and they kind of get it, I mean, and then they're always used to me always be working anyways. And then, and then like, me working all the time, sometimes I will work like 50 hours a week, I will always tell them like, well, I gotta go to work, and then, I mean, I try not to be the typical Mexican dad, that just goes to work, comes back, and not have that communication, with that kids, because that's how I grew up. I would rarely see my dad, he was always working. He would just come home, and we knew not to bug him because he worked all day. And I try to like break that chain, like with my kids. So I would come home, to ask them about their day in school, or told them that I was, I had to go to work, and like that. I try to like put them in a good way, that I wasn't there most of the time because I had to work, but in a good way, not just like, oh, I gotta go to work so I could pay the bills, or I would try not to put it in a good way,
Right. So you try to interact with them.
Yeah.
After your work hours, when you grew up, you didn't have that same bond.
Yeah, exactly. When my dad worked, he's a cook. He works in restaurants, and then they work like 6 days a week, like 12 hours a day, So it was, for me, like a rare, when we came to Mexico, I thought I was gonna live, like, because when you're over there in Mexico, when they tell you you're gonna come to the U.S., you basically they paint this picture that you're gonna come to like some fantasy land, that you basically like gonna have over here and have everything, but they don't really tell you that you can come over here and basically work your you break your back or your work 24/7
Yeah.
And then when I got here and I saw that I wasn't spending time with my dad, and then I saw why, and then I didn't have the confidence or that communication to question him, like, hey, well, why you work so much, like I didn't have that with him. So that's how I grew up, and then obviously when you get older you realize and you talk about it now, but at that time when I actually you could say that you needed an explanation or you didn't see it clearly when you were younger. But now with my kids, until now, even now, I tell them, don't. I try to be them. If they have something going on in school, I don't mind taking the day off or half a day. My dad never did that. And then there was no way that I was gonna ask him to, leave work so he could come, to a program in school. I don't know, for some reason, it seems like it's not like it's out of this world for you to ask your dad or your dad, having a half day, from work so you can come to school. But at that time, for me asking my dad, that was unheard of. There's no way that your dad is like, I don't know. So I don't know. It was kind of hard. And now that me and my dad have more like a father and son relationship, we talk about it, and he agrees and he sees it different now. But now you could say it's not too late for me. I knew that my dad loved me and cared for me and everything. But at that time, I think my life would have been totally different if I had that. If I would have known for a fact that I had that he always had me. He always had my back, or in that way.
Do you think that what had to do with just the like the old school and new school way of things, or do you think that has to do with like the Mexican culture in Mexico compared to American culture here?
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with it. Especially me and my dad. My dad, you could say he's real old school and Mexican. So it's like I could never question him. I could never second guess him. There's no way I would talk back to my dad. For example, if I would get in trouble, he would like you could say spank me and then ask questions, and then at that time I didn't want to talk because I was crying. So but that's how it was, and then in a way now I see that he did a good job with me. He made me from all the bad stuff that was around me at that time, like you say in school, like gangs or like drugs and stuff. The reason why I didn't do it was because I was basically had my dad back in my head, not because I didn't want to do it. I actually wanted to do it, but I didn't do it because of my dad. I don't want to I don't want to get yelled at. I know he was gonna know somehow because you think your dad knows everything or something. He's gonna find out sooner or later. So that's how I take it. I don't take it as a bad way that my dad was rough on me or anything. I took it that he just did the best he could, that he knew,
From
Yeah.
Mexican culture,
Yeah.
pretty much, and moving to America. That's with you growing up here. You developed a new way of how you want
Yeah.
to raise your kids.
And then I try to be more in between, you could say. Take the good Mexican side, having like that culture, and being also here, taking the good stuff of both. I'm not. My like for me, I would never hear my dad that he said he would love me. I would never hear that. I know he did, but I never heard it. And me, I would always tell my kids that I love them. But and then again, if they do something I don't like, I would like discipline them. Like my dad used to discipline me in a way. So it's like I told I consider myself, how would you say? No, not fruit breed, but I'm consider myself like Mexican, But in a way, I know where I'm from. I can't go to Mexico and say that I'm from over there, and then I can't come over here and say I'm from here, because So I'm stuck in between, you know, like me, my generation, or like me, myself. I can't say that I'm like real Mexican, and I can't say myself that I'm real, you know, American or from here, you know. So and then when it comes to my kids, you know, I try to give them, you know, the best of both things in a way. Like I tell them talk Spanish, talk Spanish. Even though for me sometimes it's hard to talk Spanish, and then for me it's sometimes like I stutter a lot too when I'm talking in English. Even English is still my second language, but when I try to talk in Spanish, sometimes it's hard too. You know, like for me it's like hard because just like you're stuck in between. You're not full one side or full the other side. Like I have friends that their parents are, you know, they were born in Mexico, but they were raised here, and then they can't speak Spanish, you know. And in a way, now they tell me that they wish they knew, and then all this time I thought they knew, but they never, you know, we never talked. And I tell it, so you're telling me that you really don't know Spanish, and all the time I thought they were, you know, they chose not to or something. And then, but it's hard. And, you know, the language barrier too is hard, but you know, I don't know, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. My wife has, she speaks English. You can tell she has that accent, and she mispronounces some words. Yeah. I generally make fun of her.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little better. My Spanish is my second language. English is my first language, so I speak English a lot better. But I do understand a lot of Spanish too. Yeah. But with her, it's similar to you, where she migrated over here. She speaks Spanish, but she has difficulty with some pronouncing some of the English words and everything. So, yeah. But so when you built this house, or you helped to build this house, and so did your family. You guys put in lots of hours into this home. When were you able to finally? How long was it until you were able to finally move in?
For example, the build it started. I want to say in November, let me think about it. I can't remember. Because the whole process was around like almost a whole 10 months. I want to say no more than a year. Because we moved in here in February of... I think it's been... I don't know, man. You know, time flies. I want to say we've been here for... What is it? 2 years? I want to see where I could look so I can remember. Cause I know we moved here. It was winter, and then it was the first of February. Cause we had to leave the house we were renting. We had to leave it by the end of January, so it had to be the 1st of February when we moved in.
Okay. And how was like the atmosphere? How'd you guys feel when you first moved? Were you excited? Were you?
I mean, cause for me, having my own home, it was, you could say it was one of my biggest goals at that time, and I felt good. I felt that I accomplished something, and I felt proud in a way, showing my brothers that at that time I was maybe 30, 31. Now I'm going to be 33, but at that time I was 30 maybe. And then knowing that, it wasn't that easy, me having 4 kids, you could say, buying a house is a big deal, And I felt good. I felt that I accomplished something. I felt proud.
What about the kids? Were they happy?
Yeah, they were real happy because at that time my oldest kid would always have to share a room with my my second oldest, the 2 boys, And then my daughter was at the house that we were living in. It was only a 3 bedroom, so they always had to share rooms, and then we always had to rent. So there was you could say we always had people. I mean, like it was a duplex, so we always have like like neighbors downstairs, and so for them, they were excited too. They were I told them that this house was actually gonna be theirs. They wouldn't, they were happy too.
Do you think you will live out the rest of your days here? Do you think you may purchase a bigger home in a different area, or?
I most definitely. I think that at that time I felt that it was you could say that like the right choice. For me economically, like I won't have to pay that much. My loan will be my bills won't be that high. But now my second goal is obviously you always want something bigger and better, and then that's what I'm working on. Even though they're like, I mean I like it here, but the reason why is because my parents, my family lives next door.
So if this house was for sale and your family didn't live next door, would you have not purchased this home?
No, not at all. I mean, even though that I grew up here, knowing if, for example, if my parents or none of my family lived here no more, I will probably move, or look towards that way to move or something.
So if let's say if your parents were to move next year, would you move shortly after? Or
I'm not shortly, And then my parents, they come and go to Mexico now. All winter they spend the time over there. And then the only ones that are there are my brothers. But I thought that at that time it was a good decision for me, be here. And then my kids were growing up. I mean they're growing up still, and then like that they could be more attached to my family too, because they are and they were, I didn't want to just, for example, the houses where I was looking for, it was like on Brown Deer over there, close by Mequon and stuff. And then I felt that once we were leave over there, they were hardly see each other no more. We would see each other maybe every Sunday or something, once a week or stuff like that. So at that time, that's why I told you I felt that like it was a blessing that we had that chance to get this house. But I know, now that I'm getting older, I felt that like I want to get away more from the city. I feel that I have that need.
So now your next goal is to find a bigger house, bigger yard, bigger suburbs.
More like apart, stuff like that. And then now like also too with my kids that are growing up. I mean I know my oldest kid, he's in high school already. He's gonna be a senior next year. The education program, because they all going to Milwaukee Public School, and then at that time, I mean I did have that in back of my head, but it wasn't like a real focus, like the education, for schools around here or stuff like that, and now it is, now it's like, I wish that I would have. That I could afford, better schools for them, that they don't. I mean, there's nothing wrong with MPS, but like you said, like I'm saying, if you could offer them a better, education, you feel more like you feel better about yourself,
So you're pretty much, just to kind of get an idea, your relationship to this community is primarily because you grew up in it and because your family is still living here.
Right.
Because otherwise you probably wouldn't care for this community.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't care. I mean, I would still like you still go, for example, if you go to a block that you grew up, you feel like that warminess or that love towards it. You would still see it, like, wouldn't be afraid to go and knock on the door and just say hi to the neighbors and stuff like that. But what actually made me stay here, it will be, because my family is still here. But and then me being for that long, since the early '90s here, like I actually say that when I'm gone or if the day comes that I'm not here, like, I don't know. I think that I'm gonna miss it somehow. You know.
What would you miss about it exactly?
Well, it's like it's. Well, it's like when you have spent so much time, you know, with a certain thing or a certain place, you know, you I don't know, you grew up, you know, like loving it or needing it or something, you know.
So you generally would call this community home, in a
Yeah,
sense.
in a way, like, you know, and then hopefully when I move out or you know to a better house, a better community, you know, I still wish that I, you know, this place was, you know, what I went through, you know, that some other family, you know, could enjoy this community, you know, the same way that I did, you know, or like in a way like, you know, for this community to stay as getting better, you know, for another family, you know, not for the worse.
Let's say this community started, because there's a lot of people moving into this community, and they're actually trying to develop it and make it a better
Mm-hmm.
community. Similarly to those that, you know, like Oak Creek and everything,
Uh-huh.
where you hear that's so nice over there, they're
Yeah.
trying to take this community and develop it to that, you know, standard. If that was something that was if that was something that you sensed was changing about this community, would you stay here, or would you still want to move to a bigger home? Or
I think, well, for example, if like I don't know, well, it's hard to say, you know, because you know, like now for me, like for example, I have this goal, right? That you know, to get a better house or a bigger house. But that's just, you know, that's just, you know, the need of a, you know, like you said, like a family man, you know the need, the daily need or whatever. They always want something bigger and better. But I mean, if, for example, if I could have built this house to the way that I actually wanted to, or the way that I feel that is, you know, the best, you know, I wouldn't feel the need of leaving, go finding some other house or some other community, you know.
and just because I didn't ask earlier, what exactly is your occupation? What do you do?
Oh, I'm a welder. I'm a welder. Yeah, I worked. The company that I work for is called Jorgensen Conveyors. It's in Mequon, and I worked there already like maybe for 11 years already.
Is that somewhere where you want to continue working, or do you have inspiration to develop that your career as well?
Well, like everything started when I went to work, started working there. You know, everything. I ended up being there for just needing a job. You know, and I actually didn't know how to weld. I learned how to weld there. You know, and then from being, you know, like a starter welder, you know, or like a side welder, you know, to be now like, you know, one of like the welder that does the more like difficult jobs or bigger jobs, you know. I feel like, I don't know, I feel that I'm comfortable there, but like, yeah, you know, like if I had the opportunity, you know, to actually, you know, for for upgrading, you know, my job skills or you know, getting a degree or something like that, you know, I would definitely do it.
So you would want to like grow within that company, or would you, if there was a better opportunity somewhere else, would you leave it?
Well, I want to say that I would leave it, but you know, that's just me being, you know, a man that's providing for the family. If I see that I have a better chance somewhere else, you know, I will definitely, you know, go with it. But then also again, like I know, I'm the type of person that you know that I'm loyal. You know, that company I've been there for that long and have never getting laid off. I haven't, you know, stuff like that. So I would take all. That's why I think I'm still there. You know, cause I don't know. I felt that like, you know, that company like, you know, gave me everything I have in a way. You know.
So this back to when you first moved in here. Um, How did how can I put it? Like what smells in this house that like what smells do you associate with that make you think of this house? You know, like is there a certain smell?
Just cooking, a home cooked meal or something like that.
Is it your wife cooking?
Yeah, you know.
Well, we have a few more follow-up questions.
Yes, my name is Myung-Lee, and I would like to ask several questions about this house. And exactly when this house construction completed, 2015 or 2016?
No, it was more 2000. I want to say 2000. I want to say 2014. So we've been here.
February.
Yeah.
So you've been here. The construction was done February 2014, roughly.
Yeah. So what is that? We've been here 3 years.
It's like a little over 2.
So, yeah.
And do you have any first impression of this house when you get this house?
Cause they kind of they explained it to me when we went to Milwaukee Habitat. For example, I don't know if you noticed all the walls are one color except my kids' room, and we painted those. But I guess that's how they would do it. They will paint the whole house one color, and they will let you pick, for example, countertops. I think carpet, but everything else is kind of like, I don't know, like I never really lived in an apartment, but it kind of felt like an apartment because it was like everything kind of matched too much or something, and I still have that feeling, but and hopefully we're gonna change that. But once we moved in, we put like our dining table or like our living room and stuff like that. It all kind of went away, but I think that's kind of like the one thing that I didn't kind of like felt it like I didn't like when I moved in here, or that I grabbed my attention the most. I mean, I could just go ahead and paint it, but now it's just been that I got just used to it, I guess. But yeah, other than that, the house. And then being in a new house is not something that I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of upgrades that I could still do, or that I want to do, But I'm just trying to take my time, Or like waiting to certain some other stuff, for example, or other bills, or other stuff that I need to handle.
So you're considering investing into this house?
Investing more that feel to my because I know and then for example, there's a thing being in this area, I see every year when I get the tax thing, how much actually the house is worth, and then how much I'm paying for it. There's a big difference, and then I think that's the only why too. If for example, with this area or this community, if the houses will hold their value more, there's no reason why I wouldn't, wanted to leave. You want to own something, have something that calls yours, and it actually, for me, this house worth a lot because we live here. It's my house, it's my kid's house, but how much is it really worth? Actually worth, And then that's one of the big things why, if I wanted to leave, or because of the actual worth of the house.
Yeah, so you feel like if you were to sell it, you wouldn't get what you feel is what it's worth.
Yeah.
What kind of colors did you choose for your kids' rooms?
But it was just my daughter's room. I kind of like girly colors, and then my kids' room are we're sports fans. So my kids, he's on to football. So Packer colors, and then my older kids, we into baseball too. So it was like the Brewer themed colors.
The gold and blue.
Yeah, we did kind of like the odd one. It was more like it's blue, golden, and then like the kind of like brick color.
Like white brick.
Yeah.
It definitely provides a different spatiality, a different atmosphere of each children's rooms.
Yeah.
Is it provide us some specific feeling?
Yeah, 'cause that's what I tried. You know, for example, when I painted their rooms, I think that's the only things why that's the only rooms that are painted in the house is their room. Cause you know when you get a house, I mean you do it for yourself too, but what actually pushes you or like, you know, more, it's your kids, you know, and that's what did it to me. So I didn't wait that day they gave us a house. I started painting the rooms, you know, cause I was doing it for them, you know, and then I didn't want them to come to a room and it will be all white, like, you know, like like around here, you know.
You want them to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And personalize it
Yeah.
to what they wanted. Right?
Yeah.
Is your room painted?
No, not ours.
And your wife is Mexican too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because my wife is Mexican, and I know through her family that they really like colors.
Yeah.
And our house was white for about a month before she colored every single room in
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah.
So I'm a little surprised that your wife hasn't done it. But does she okay with it being white? Does she bother her?
No, we always have, you know, talked about it, like, yeah, we're gonna paint it, and then she didn't work. She just started working. She didn't work for the past maybe like 6 months or 8 months, and then she was supposed to paint the kitchen, you know, but since I didn't push it, you know, because I knew I was gonna get stuck with the extra labor, you know, so I didn't want to push it too much, you know. Cause I don't know, I'm kind of real picky, you know. And then if we were gonna paint it, I wanted to do like, you know, like update, you know, something, you know, maybe add handles to the cabinets or what is it called? The side splash. You know what's it called? Like tiles on the walls or something. You know, I wanted to do something more, so I knew it was not gonna be just painting, you know. And then, so that's why I kind of just hold it, because I knew it was going to be more spending, you know, than just paint.
Right, and then notice that going down the stairs, those walls are painted.
Yeah, and then I think, and then that's the other part that I actually had done to, you know, done work to is the basement. I added a bathroom down there and kind of divided where the laundry is. So divided that, make like a little laundry room or something. Cause I always wanted, you know, somewhere I could hang out or like, you know, come with brothers or watch a game or something.
A man cave.
Yeah, you know, like that. So I think I did it cause the same thing, you know, with my kids. You know, I mean, I should have been more, you know, pick, you know, living room or kitchen, you know, to start out with. But me and being, you could say, selfish. I went downstairs and, you know, did that instead. Which is, you know, I just painted the walls and stuff like that, you know, but, you know, I guess, you know, now that I see it, you know, that I mention it, you know, yeah.
So you gotta start painting the kitchen tomorrow.
I know, right?
But we also noticed that you have photos on the walls going down the stairs. Can you describe those photos to us again?
Yeah, those photos are actually from my hometown. They're like some from the early 70s, I believe, and there's some like blueprints of the church of, you know, of our hometown.
And those, you said those were
yeah, and then that's like a holiday. It's, you know, when that's like the day before Easter Sunday. I guess in my hometown it's like a holiday, and then the town fair starts. And then, you know, their customs is, you know, they ride on horses that Saturday, you know, and it's still and that was at that time, and it's still, you know, they still do it, and it just got bigger and bigger.
Okay, and this is an actual photograph.
Yeah, well, that's just the copy, but it's actually a photograph.
Okay, and I just wanted to note on the recording that this is a black and white photograph. And it looks like a parade in the middle of the street in Mexico. Okay, so that we can connect it, the
Yeah.
audio with the actual photo. And then you said you also had some like musicians that you used to listen to with your father.
Yeah.
That you have on the wall down there.
Yeah, there's some of them are where we're from, like especially one of them, Antonio Aguilar, and the other one is Jose Alfredo Jimenez. He's from a different state, but I came, I don't know, somehow at first when I was younger, I kind of got sick of it, but somehow I just, grew up to embrace it, love it. I still hear them, I still listen to that type of music, even at work, and I just grew up being a fan of it, And then me, where I hang around, where I drink a beer or listen to that type of music is down there,
Does it make you think of your hometown when you listen to it?
Yeah, it does. But since I didn't really, had an adult life over there, so I can't really, like what makes me think of my hometown is more like when I was, my child, when I was younger, my childhood or something.
So listening to that music makes you think of a little bit of your hometown, a little bit of your childhood, maybe a little bit of your father too.
Yeah, like like just having a good time, like, and it makes me think like, yeah, like like just have a good time.
Yes, when I came down there, I'm really surprised. It's totally different from my expectations about the basements, and there is a lot of ornaments such as a car. Can you talking about that kind of things?
Oh yeah, me growing up, I always liked the cars, and especially like older cars. I mean, I like all cars, but I always liked the cars for some reason. And then if I had something that when I was growing up as a little boy that I could come and talk to my dad about, it would be cars. It would be cars, baseball, the Packers, And I grew up, like that, and since then, like I embrace it. And until now, even with my kids, we see a car, like, oh, that's such and such model or type or year, or I don't know. That's something you do,
Right. And I know from being from Mexico. Mexico is primarily a soccer country.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how you're a fan of baseball and football. Is that something you developed as you grew up here, or is that something you already liked when you were living out in Mexico?
No, I think that's something I developed here. Cause I do remember myself playing a lot of soccer over there, and then they do play a lot of baseball too, but it will mainly be soccer, and somehow here, until now I don't really, rarely play soccer. My older kid, he's in a soccer team, in high school, but like just until now, But me, I never really like was into soccer that much, and I think that's what me coming here, I learned to embrace. I consider myself a Packer fan and a Brewer fan, but that's because what I learned here,
It's because you grew up here.
Yeah.
When you plan to build this house, do you have any choice to organize a space or just habitat movement people just provide this plan?
Yeah, they pretty much already had they built all the houses. Kind of depends on the family, how many family members are in the family. So in a way, they already have, they already knew, we already knew how much it was gonna look, and we couldn't, like pick. Well, I want 2 bedrooms and the first floor, or so it was pretty much it. And at that time, like I told you, me living next door to my parents, they were like, well, all my kids are gonna have their own room, So for us, it was fine. We were fine with it. We saw the blueprint, and then they took us to a house that was already built. That was kind of like looked like this, and then we were fine with it. So we liked it, so we were fine.
Do you have any kind of tactile sense for example, your son just working without shoes, and he probably feels some sense through his food. And do you have any kind of tactile sense of this house?
No. What do you mean? Can you tell me again? I didn't really understand.
We're gonna just take a quick break. Enrique is outside. He said if you need a ride, you need to leave right now. So if you want, I can finish up. But just repeat.
Just 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
The sense of tactile. Can you explain to him how to feel this house, like the touches or feel through the bodies? For example,
Well, there's some cultures and some people who, like for myself, I don't like when people walk in my house with shoes on. Do you not care if people walk through the house with shoes, or do you prefer to?
Like for example, us, like well, like you guys, for me, you guys are guests. So like we don't really like. I'm not used to telling my guests, hey, you need to take off your shoes. But like us, we come home and we take off our shoes. That's what we do. But like me, like if I bring a guest, I'm not gonna ask them. Hey, you need to take off your shoes, or in a good way, or I know they weren't taking it in a bad way. But for us, it's not that we don't care. It's just we're not accustomed to that, in a way. But I know how, like. I think I know what he's trying to say. That I do embrace my home. I do feel the home, and I think that with time going, I'm finding the same love that I have for this house, the one next door. Even though they're my kids now they have like both. They tell me, oh, they like it over there. Or for example, when my parents are not here, we go over there, and then I don't know. There's something emptiness about the house, because my mom is not there, my dad is not there. Even my brothers are there, but they're always doing the whatever they're doing. And then now when I come home and when I come to the house, I do embrace it. I do like I have this feeling that I could actually go home, and it's like a satisfying feeling, that you come home and you get to relax.
Where is the best place in this? Where is the best place in this house for you? Do you like any specific part of this house?
Not really. I think the most place. I think here in the table. We when I usually we're here in the table is because we're having dinner and then all the kids are here. I want to say here in the dining table.
Okay, my last question is: your neighborhood usually adopt the chain link fence, and this house newly built, and this house doesn't have chain link fence in front yard. And how do you think about the chain link fence in this neighborhood? And do you have any plan to put it on your house or?
No, I don't really. I don't know. I want to say that I don't feel the need to put it up. For example, my parents' house, they do have it, and then my dad did that when we barely moved in, and he was actually thinking of taking it down, the front fence. So I don't feel the need now. That I need to put up a front fence. The only one thing that I actually want to do is build the garage. I don't have a garage, and that was the same thing that I actually wanted in a home. And then for me I think that was the hardest thing. Pick this house with no garage, or pick a house with a garage that it would be somewhere else.
Okay. Well, I think we have everything that we need. Unfortunately, we weren't able. We couldn't set a time that worked out for both of us to measure the house. So I think we got everything that we need here. I just wanted to thank you for your time and taking the time to let us interview you. We
No.
appreciate it.
No, that's thanks, man.
But before we finish, I actually do have one question. I've noticed that every time the back door opens, a little computer voice.
It's a secure. They actually install a security system.
Okay.
And then we do use it. We do, set it when we go or set it when we go to sleep. And the reason why, we have it set for the back door and the front door is when my 2-year-old, he could open the doors. And then just because of him, if my wife's here cooking, so, she could hear that he opened the front or the back door.
Okay. I've never seen that before.